Okay. That brings us to the next track. That's Armlock and the song Ice Cold Grant. Can you get us going here?
For sure. Armlock, the little vocal distortion you hear at the beginning. So this band opened at the 7th Street entry for Cloud Nothings on their 10th anniversary of one of their best albums, Here and Nowhere Else. And I went to see Cloud Nothings with Richie, a best friend of mine that just moved here, and he's been excited to get into all the music that comes through the Twin Cities. And so we went to Cloud Nothings and didn't have any idea about anything about the opening bands, but really it was pretty fairly diverse mix between this kind of cloudy and spacey minimalist, almost like pinback feeling, in sense that kind of groove, and then just shredders from Cloud Nothing. So I always love when you're surprised by an opener in a great way. And so the 7th Street entry is not big, and I was surprised because Cloud Nothings to me is big enough to just overwhelm that venue. But it was a perfect size, but it was like shoulder to shoulder, but not too busy. It was like the right amount, but you felt like you were like, all right, we're here for something special. We caught the end of the opener. Then Armlock went on as the second opener. And it was just this like groove. And it started with that like distorted arm lock, like that you hear. And then they jumped into this song. It was just like this simple bass line, but a simple like guitar riff. And the drummer had a little like towel on the snare to keep it somewhat muffled. The album kind of hit the sound that they achieved live very well. And they seemed like younger adults, just went right into the cool song. And it was just this groove. And I just remember being moved by, I have no idea what I'm about to experience, but I like what I'm experiencing. There was a little bit of like awkwardness too with them on stage. One of them, like the lead singer, was wearing like a Dallas Cowboys shirt, like just a giant blue star. I was pretty sure it's the Cowboys. And I just remember, okay, are they Cowboys fans? That's going to turn me off, but I like the music. After this song, they then introduced themselves and at that time revealed an Australian accent that they're from Melbourne. And this is their first tour in the US and they're opening for Cloud Nothings. And I was like, now I'm like loving this. This is super exciting for them, but they're playing it cool and they're just like jamming. And it just felt good. It felt warm. Their album, the Seashell Angel Lucky Charm, first has one of the coolest, strangest little art on the front cover that you wouldn't have said that picture matches the sound of that band, but that's always fun. But they were just like, it was enjoyable to me to see this band that was unknown to me pull me in, take me through a show, and have it be super enjoyable. That was a surprise. It was one that I had a long list of best of 24 stuff, but this one has been one that we've been listening to over the last few weeks and again felt like fresh to me. Just really fun band that seemed like they were tight, that they were in it, but they were also like, dude, we're playing where the Replacements played 20 years ago. This is cool. Like they felt the weight of being where they were, yet they performed and they did their part as an opener. They didn't steal the stage. At one point, this is a bit of a sad story, but somebody passed out in the middle of the crowd on the floor. And I'm sure at venues you might see this sometimes where like a blue siren goes on or a light starts flashing and then a bunch of people, security guards with flashlights will come rushing in and you're hearing and seeing all this stuff, but the band had their backs turned to the crowd and had no idea, but just kept playing. I think they were completely oblivious to what was going on to whatever person needed help on this floor. And so it was this like weird looking left at somebody who's getting help and looking on the stage and just seeing this like vibe still happening. And then they helped that person out. They got that person some water and out to the backstage, and everybody just kept going. And the band was like, "Thank you for that song," and they went to the next one. I don't know. It just gave me an appreciation for something that was unexpected, something that was a cool vibe, and it was moving. And it inspires me to just create with people because I'm like, this music is moving and simple, but executed so well by these people that care about it. And they're creating their kind of own aesthetic with their album art, with their stage presence, with their feeling. They had a couple shredding songs that really cranked it up when you weren't expecting it, and that was a fun surprise, as well as they like to let it squeal, give a little bit of feedback, and you can hear that on the song too, where it's just but artful. So Armlock was one of my last picks that I threw on there just because I thought it was a fun, another live experience that again that I felt moved me, and I value those. That really changes the shape for me for a band when I can experience something like that and then that be how I grab onto it. So Armlock from Melbourne with Ice Cold. Over to maybe Sean, since it's an Australian sandwich with the middle kids and then Heems and then Armlock here. So I'll throw it to you, Sean.
Yeah, that's right. Some baba ganoush between the
Hey.
Aussie
Yeah,
bread.
who's hungry? It's lunchtime,
Uh,
isn't it? Yeah.
but yeah, in your story, when the band had their backs turned, was the person that needed help, they were in the crowd? And was it just a moment that the band had their backs
Yeah.
turned? Or, were they playing the show looking
I think
away?
they were just into it together, and at that moment in the song, they were just vibing with each other as they should be. That's what they're doing there, and then
Yeah.
just unknown. And they don't want to stop the music by turning the lights on and trying to help up. And I think sometimes they might have to do that from a security's, depending on the safety. But I think it's just somebody who had maybe just fell down or passed out or something, but they just kept it going. And it wasn't. It's not a bad thing that they were oblivious to it. I don't think they should have stopped, but it was just an interesting moment that they were so into what they were doing, again, as they should be, that this other thing that was happening didn't need to disrupt that. And there was just something about that to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I was just trying to understand the context of them having their backs to the crowd, and then me wondering, did I understand it that the person that needed help was in the crowd, or maybe they were backstage? So anyway, thanks for helping me with that. I think from the song itself, I had a similar take that it had some pinback type instrumentation, which is always nice. I think it can be understated and it allows for just the driving backbeat to be the thing that starts to take front and center. So I like that. It's very well crafted song, and I would think it would be fun to see them live. Nice little 7 song EP. The total duration of this thing is 18 minutes long. I think it's interesting. It was easy to just consume an entire album from them. So you drop this song, I think, oh, I like this sound. Let me see what else is here. And I went through the whole thing on a 20-minute walk. I think that's probably an understated part of what people are doing these days is you don't have to fill a whole vinyl record or a whole CD these days with digital. You can make your release as small as you want it to be. And it's a nice little 20-minute nugget of 7 good songs. So thanks for sharing it. I like it. And it's nice to have some draw across the world. It's nice that you saw them. They're coming all the way over here to share their art and build their brand across the world. I think that's where it all starts.
Yeah, I'll echo all of that. I think that I am enjoying learning somebody that sounds so much like Pinback. Yeah, I dig the sound. I did not catch that they announced their name on the opening track at the beginning of this song. So I'm glad you also pointed that out. That's so hip hop. I know that their sound is not hip hop, but that's so freaking cool. And I love the track title name, Ice Cold, as well as the album name. Interesting that we've got 3 tracks that reference seashells in different ways so far. So that's pretty cool. There's some interesting threads to pull on here. I'm interested in learning more about Armlock and listening to the whole album.
Yeah, imagine
Thanks,
that
Grant.
Armlock, like distorted voice being just the first thing you hear as the lights go down, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm paying attention to the stage now. There's some brilliance to that from some young artists being like, let's get the attention of everybody so that people aren't talking while we're playing in our show.
Yeah, and it's the first song on the album. It opens it up, and they open the show
Yeah.
the same way. Sounds good. So let's give it a spin. This is Ice Cold, which is track 1 on the album Seashell Angel Lucky Charm from Armlock.